My name's Tom Jennings and this is the 24 Frames Cast, and I'm just going to do a quick bonus episode because I was planning on just basically working on this week's main episode, and I had a day today in which on my way back on my much delayed train, I two things came to mind, and I went into the office today because I was after work going to go and watch the new Laszlo Nemes film Orphan, and a conversation started up at the table, and one of my colleagues had watched the Terminator for the first time in years, and what followed was a really passionate and funny and interesting debate conversation about the Terminator films. And we were all talking about how the first time we ever saw the Terminator was, I think most people seem to have got it from a dodgy copy from your brother's mate, how it terrified us, and then you had Terminator 2, which had been a staple of our teenage life, and then we were going on about the various sequels and how we felt about them. Terminator 3, if you can get through it, that ending, I suppose, is pretty great. And I was giving quite a passionate defence of Terminator Salvation, which, having rewatched relatively recently, I thought was a more than enjoyable film, and perhaps was deserving of a little bit more love than it actually gets. My overriding take from this conversation was just how passionately people were talking about the Terminator films, especially Terminator and Terminator 2. And as it was approaching the end of work and I realised I was going to have to get myself down to home to watch Orphan, I had a thought, which was, could I really be bothered going to watch the film? Because if you have been listening to this podcast, you'll know that I've made a real concerted effort to go to the cinema way more this year. And on average, I'm going about once or twice a week. And I have to be brutally honest when I say that, for the most part, every time I walk out of the cinema and make my way home, my overriding feeling, having watched a lot of films this year, is complete and total apathy. I have not watched anything that I have had a burning desire to revisit again, or even contemplate buying day one on physical media when it comes out. Indeed, last week I watched Mark Jenkins' new film Rose of Nevada, and a film that was getting critical adulation everywhere. And yes, I did quite enjoy Rose of Nevada. And yes, I do think Mark Jenkins is a definitely style. He's an auteur. I think that's the best way I can put it. He's got a very specific style. And I kind of liked the science fiction time travel kind of blending into this, what feels like a very Cornish folktale. But have I thought about Rose of Nevada since then? No. And I don't even think I have actually even recommended it to anyone. And as I was going through my list of films this year, as The Stranger, another film that received massive critical adulation, again, by the time I'd gotten to the train station, I had completely forgotten about it. And this has been quite a disturbing pattern. And the brutal truth is, I'm finding most modern films that I see to be completely underwhelming, and I would rather hate a film. I'd rather it offends me on some level, or even if it's like been hyped beyond belief and I don't like it, because more often than not in those instances I am kind of quite compelled to go back and give it another watch just to kind of test my hypothesis to see if it is in fact something that I don't like. And likewise, sometimes when I watch a film that I really, really love, I don't feel the desire to rewatch it again immediately. I want to give it a bit of time to kind of settle in with my psyche and go back and kind of make a point of, perhaps when it comes out on UHD or something like that, and make a point of going out and buying it, and then taking some time to set aside and watch it and appreciate it again. But the worst than loving or hating a film, I think, is just having a completely apathetic reaction to it. So, Orphan then, and now Laszlo Nemes, I really enjoy. Well, I suppose enjoy is the wrong word when it comes to Son of Saul, but I certainly thought that was an incredible one of the best debuts I can think of in a long time, and a really staggering film. Just its relentlessness and the use of sound and the drama and the tension that film creates. I didn't enjoy his film Sunset, and when I kind of read the brief of this film, I was a bit sort of like, oh god, this film's going to feel like homework. And there's no denying, one thing I would say about Orphan, it actually looks like a film. It's certainly one of the most cinematic trips to the cinema I've had this year. The guy definitely knows how to direct a film, but I have to say, I felt exactly the same way about all the other films that I've been watching recently. I walked out of home and then automatically my girlfriend rang about 5 minutes. I went to go and get some shopping, got on the train, and I have no interest in ever watching this film again. It was all right, I guess. The central performances were good. I quite like the period setting in this kind of 1950s Hungary, when you've got the kind of the full horror of what will be the Iron Curtain descending on the population. But I will never ever watch this film again, and I cannot conceive of a time where I would ever want to watch this film again. And I think that is ultimately the saddest reaction to have when you leave the cinema, which is this complete and utter apathy. And when I look at what is coming soon, I'm not exactly filled with hope that this is going to be a vintage year by any stretch of the imagination. And it has caused me, I suppose one thing I have been doing a lot is watching a lot of films I've never seen before. And I recently caught up with Boys in the Hood, which I might have to do an episode on one day, because I have never seen that film and it absolutely blew me away. And yes, there are a ton of films that I am yet to watch that I need to get through. But yeah, I am becoming increasingly concerned by just the sheer averageness of what is being released at the moment. And I don't think I'm alone. Certainly when I've... to give it a contrast, I went to go and watch The Omen projected a few weeks... It was in October sometime, I think, for Halloween. And people... There was a massive buzz about the cinema when people were leaving. Everyone was talking about it. I'd never seen it on the big screen before, and you kind of left in this kind of joyous thong. When the lights came on today, the 10 people in the cinema just shuffled out and no one was saying anything. And it was almost just sort of like, yeah, well, whatever. Next, almost there's almost a sense of just like, yeah, whatever, and just carrying on with their day. And ultimately, I think that's incredibly sad. So yeah, that's going to be a quick little episode on that particular subject. If you've got some films you think that I should catch up on that have been released recently, do throw them my way. You can email me at 24framescast@gmail.com. So many thanks for listening, and I'll be in contact soon. Bye.